Alright, hello everybody, we are back. I, like, Merry Christmas, first of all. Glad I can be here. I did most of my family gatherings over the last couple days, and, that kind of crept up on me. I was getting my weeks mixed up, so I completely, completely forgot that it was actually this week. So that's kind of why I wasn't streaming or uploading anything. But I was able to complete the speed guide and the second episode of in-depth guides like basically a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now. So that information was up, and I'm glad for that. Um, and now we're here with something a little bit special. Once again, we're not probably going to be doing PvP today. I do have a little bit of inspiration after my little side park stream I did the other day. I was we had some fun with Fire Chromion, and I'm like, you know what, maybe we should do a mini series where I make a team with each type of Chromion. And just so I'll probably do like a Chromion mini series coming up once I have a bit more time. So look forward to that. Also on Dragon Quest Monsters, I I tried out the PvP a couple times and I wasn't super happy with it, but I hadn't completely given up yet. And I found another streamer, another small streamer. I think his name is XX Collector God. Let me make sure, just in case anyone wants to check him out. He's yeah, XX the Collector God, XX. Okay. So he was running actually a stall team in the game. It was really interesting. He just had a whole bunch of really tanky stuff, and then he used the insta kill move to just try and win in the tiebreaker, which the initial tiebreaker is the amount of knockouts you have. And so that inspired me to try and make a couple teams, and so I'll probably stream that tomorrow, if not even like later. It'll probably be tomorrow. So if you guys are interested in that, it's awesome. I'll have some more content there. Apparently, there's not a whole lot of PvP content out there for the game, which is really sad. So, or at least English content. Let's see, any more announcements? I think that kind of covers it. But like I said, today we're doing something a little bit different. So I want to, on Discord, Temtem player by the name of Tikls had the idea to have a competition for who can make the best patch notes. Like, this is all going to be fake, like a fake patch notes. But the whole goal is essentially to figure out what kind of changes are the players thinking about, and maybe we can vote, and potentially if we have some good ideas, maybe Krem will listen to them. I don't really know what the purpose is, but we'll just kind of like read through this. This is his intro. This is what he posted for anyone interested. It is an open competition, so like if anyone wants to participate, it's in the league competitive Discord, but I'm sure if you ask around in the official Temtem Discord comp chat, if somebody can hook you up with a link to the spreadsheet, maybe to the other Discord as well if you're interested. And I would definitely encourage you to do so. It's just a free entry, just kind of for fun, but there are prizes available. So, all right, we'll go through kind of like the intro thing here. This got written up, so it's just patch notes got you scratching your head. Ever wondered what a Temtem balance patch might look like in an alternative universe? Think you could do a better job than Crema themselves? Well, this is for us. It's just completely theoretical. So it's just like, what do we think we could do to fix the game at this point? Each participant write your own version of what they imagine Temtem balance changes could and should look like for the next patch. We already have a couple leaks for 1.6, but we're kind of ignoring the actual direction and changes that Crema has leaked and mentioned, and we have a lot of flexibility. So I mean, like we can do pretty much anything, but except for some of the rule stuff down here. So I mean, if we can do a whole bunch of small changes if we don't think it's good, or some large system overhauls. Submission deadline is January 21st. That's 2024, in case anyone watches this far in the future. And the winner is decided by a vote between all competitors. And yeah, okay. So the rules is that there's no new Tems. I know a lot of people think that this game can be saved by adding new Tems, and while I think new Tems would be awesome to see, it's at least not in the scope of this competition, and it's not in Krema's scope either. They have mentioned that they're not even going to consider new Tems until they finish adding everything else that they're kind of working on and probably polish the game a lot more. So it's not like completely impossible, but it's not something we're going to see in the near future, and so it's not something that we're going to have in this competition. For now, like, might have actually developed themselves. So, but it's just something that we can actually see Crema adding to the game, essentially. Don't want to step outside the balance realm and end up with a design attempt competition, which many people would love on a like, individual level, but that's not the goal of what this is. Maximum of 3 new techniques or traits. This one is a big restriction because one of the things that I always say it needs to be done with the game right now is just we need a lot of moves. There's so many moves that would help this game out, and we got a limit on it. So want to keep the changes required serious coding to a minimum. So, I mean, we already know that there's going to be 3 new techniques and 2 new traits in this patch. So, in 1.6 guaranteed. We already know what one of the moves is. The rest we don't know yet. I think it's either tomorrow or Wednesday we'll get another short video showcasing one of the techniques. It's a mental technique. That's all we know so far. Probably something designed for Vental, maybe even Valier. I could see. So for the purposes of the above rule, modifying values, changing types, or even renaming or copying existing techniques and traits does not count as new. So we can change a lot of stuff around within reason, and it'll just kind of be reasonable. So there's still flexibility even with the rule. And then you can DM Tikls, who's the one who's running the competition basically. I'm actually a participant. I didn't clarify that. I'm gonna make it on stream. At least some of my initial ideas here. I'm not sure if I'm gonna finish the whole thing. It might be a multi-day thing, and I'm sure I'll sleep on some stuff and be like, wow, that would be good to add too. Deadlines are not. So this is just disclaimer. All submissions must be in English. If you're watching me, I hope you understand English. And then we got prizes. So first place is 3 million Pansuns, up to 5 Steam games or equivalent value from the prize collection, $100 US, and a limited edition special Orphill from him. Tikls is the biggest Orphill believer in the game, so that's kind of why the Orphill is special. He has a tab down here with a whole bunch of the Steam games, so that's why he had posted that. And the second place is also this, which you can read. Event of a tiebreaker vote will be held. Steam code, yeah. All right, so I mean that's kind of the intro. He's got a format here, and there's a full document link on the third tab of the third sheet on the document. I've already yoinked it and then cleared it out, so we got lots of room to work with. This page here is just some of my initial thoughts on. It's just. This is kind of fun because I've thought of a whole bunch of different balance changes over time. Crema had some balance feedback threads for individual Tems, stuff like Piranhant and Owlhe, that didn't get used very often, and so a lot of the ideas I've put in those threads or just put in my own feedback threads over time. I'm probably going to add those into these patch notes. So I'll go through this briefly, but I'm gonna add it all to here. I'm gonna go through the Tems one by one and consider things, and we'll go from there. But Arachnite with Overclock, I think that would help offensive Arachnite after the fast charge nerf without making it too strong. Would Overclock proc adaptive? Feel like it could be trash. I would assume it procs adaptive, but I could be wrong. Arachnite doesn't have any self-target options, so it's not something that we can really test without it existing. I just feel like it would be a nice option, assuming it has Cage that procs it. All right, then I would assume adaptive procs it. So it would basically, you can't ignore an offensive Arachnite for a turn because then it can just get +2 speed, +2 special attack. That's kind of the idea behind it, to help faster Arachnites, but it's not like Arachnite is awful. Because I mean, we saw how it performed in Worlds. Charge, it's kind of just one of the most useless moves. I think giving it +1 defense and then maybe increasing the distribution probably wouldn't be used very often, but it might be a nice slot on some Tems. I just thought it would be a good place to start with the move, since it's an existing move that sees no play, and it's not even really used in the story. Low BP move that gives +1 speed. Uh, this is basically my idea for a replacement for Slingshot. I'm not sure what the distribution would be or anything. I was thinking we could just add it to an existing move. Maybe we add it to Synergy Novice Punch. Because some of the Tems, like Physical Inky. Inky would love Slingshot back since it has somewhat limited prio. Volcrane. Maybe you give Volcrane Novice Punch, so it has to choose between either Hook or a move to boost its speed. And if it requires Synergy, it certainly won't be overbearing. Just an idea, though. I'll definitely elaborate on all these things later. Buffing Rend. Rend is such... It has potential as a move, but as in its current state, you just never see it. I'm not sure what I'd change it to exactly. I'd probably turn it into a support move of some kind. Just give it to some support Tems. Maybe have it be 0 hold high prio, only like 1 or 2 turns of neutralize though. Gotta be careful not to step on Pigment Inverter's toes though. Not that anyone's really using that trait anyways. Then these... We get three move options, and I was thinking that these are kind of my current ideas. I think a high BP fire move that lowers attack on use. I mentioned it before. It would be good on like Prideful Raiken because having nuke lowers your attack, but you gain it back from Prideful. And maybe something like Mastion. Just something to give to a few of the fires that see a little bit less use, to give them some more immediate burst, but also kind of keeps it interesting and not ridiculous. I'd have to check some numbers, so we'll see when I get around to it. And a digital version of Aquatic Whirlwind. So I mean, it's not going to be as strong as Aquatic Whirlwind, but I was thinking something like Munko specifically. My idea is to actually remove harmful microwaves from Munko and give it a priority digital move on a hold. So maybe it has like 110 base power. Because Munko is just so tough to counter right now, but if you remove its option for turn 1 priority, but still allow it to function as a relatively fast offensive glass cannon, I think that would be good. I don't want to remove its identity entirely, but I think it might help to have something like that. And then a 2-hold mental nuke. I don't know what Krema's got planned for the mental move they're announcing. I think it would be cool to have something for Vental, Barnshee, and potentially Pocus. Oh, and even Auhi, special type Auhi. Especially because all of those Tems kind of struggle, at least in offensive roles, and so I think adding something like this would help. It also interacts with the hold system, which I think is a good plan. Potentially, I wrote rework Gamma Burst. Maybe just add an extra hold to Gamma Burst, increase its distribution a little bit, and then lower its stamina cost a bunch. Because Barnshee, if it still has Gamma Burst, but it costs way less stamina, maybe it's like a really efficient 2-hold mental move. Stamina efficient. I don't know. I'll think about it some more. But these two I think are going to be... I'm going to look at as 2 of my custom move slots, and then we'll come up with the last one whenever I need to. If it's this one, or if it's a rework of Gamma Burst, I'm not sure yet. That's just some general stuff. Bird Season, I think, should go to 100%. I think that's just nice and easy. Taifu's traits, I think, need to both be buffed. I think 3 turns of regen from Safe Retreat, and the damage reduction from Natural Conversion should be removed. Welcomer, I've mentioned before, I think a complete rework of the trait, make it so that it heals when you enter the field, I think would be still interesting. It would still hold its support role and maybe give it a better spot on stall teams. Not sure, but it's an idea. But I do like this. It's just the only thing would be, how strong would it be with half full Scaravolt? Considering you can threaten out the Earths with Shelllant, and Scaravolt's pretty strong. It can even hit Waters itself. Don't know. I just want to look at all toxic Digi and Wind types, because They're so stupid. Probably each one needs to be looked at on an individual level. So I'd probably remove tools and maybe add something weaker back. First idea is for Tolkien to lose Fiery Soul and gain Magma Cannon. It's probably an over nerf, but I think it holds Tolkien's identity as a relatively strong, like, or it's kind of like a burn support, while also nerfing it considerably, considering it's been top tier for a while. Maybe after this nerf, it could even gain some stats to make up for it. Not sure yet. Seems like an over nerf for sure, but could price it out for a season. Yeah, I mean that's kind of my thought. It's been dominance for as long as I played, but also like its defensive typing is so strong. Like I feel like you have the fires with better defensive typings and coverage that you probably should have them weaker. You should have to take advantage of its typing in order to get its high damage moves off. But yeah, don't know. It kind of steps a little bit on Scaravold's toes too with Magma Cannon and Fire Tornado. Then we'll see. This was an idea I had to rework Neurotoxins, but it's more or less a complete Cycrox rework. So instead of making Cycrox a Doombot, my idea is to change Neurotoxins to just deal increased damage to poison targets. Kind of make it a damage carry for poison teams. It would definitely have to lose Venom Spread, 100%. But in turn, I think it could gain Toxic Gas, just for a spread toxic option, also to differentiate it from Toxic Chromion. Sharp Rain, kind of fun, mainly for, I've heard this mentioned before, it would be fun for a meme set to self-target with Water Synth, but also give an offensive Cycrox coverage. So, kind of interesting. And then it would be another good receiver of the new Digimove I am proposing. So, that would be, because I mean Cycrox is slow, you don't have to worry too much about the prio on it. Tireless. I don't want to completely gut Tireless. I think I'd remove Turbo from Mashuk and then change Tireless to double the damage taken from overexertion on top of the boost it already gives. That way the Tireless Temps at least burn out a lot faster. Like if you click Wastewater on a overexerted Mashuk, it will probably kill you. And this was just like a last second thing. Oh, Tentacle Whip is a water move. Don't know if Shook would be played with no turbo. Maybe we can. Maybe we can give Mashuk whatever move I give the plus speed option then. Give Mashuk Novice Punch. That way it has an option to raise its speed. It would be self speed boost, so would act less as a support. Because I know Mashuk was a common slingshot user back with PGEB. So they're just my individual, but I'm just going to scroll down the list, honestly, and kind of add changes one by one, and then go through, and if I make any wide sweeping changes, I'll look at it. So first of all is Obi. I mentioned it before, but I think Obi is like the ideal spot where a support should be at. It has weak stab options with Tesla Prison and Plasma Beam. So even if you get hit with a super effective one of those, you're not going to take much damage. Can I sort by alphabetical? By chance. Thank you. Alright, yeah, like, it doesn't have a whole lot of special attack. If anything, I would consider removing Harmful from it, just because I don't think it's a move that a support should have. Maybe I'll do that. Just for now. I don't even know, like, how do you phrase it? Harmful Microwaves has been removed. I guess it's not on. Oh. Move from its move pool. This is Harmful Microwaves is an offensive option. It seems weird for a pure support Tem to have it. I know it has target rep, So you'd be like, oh, it should have offensive moves that way. It still has Binary Flood and Electric Storm. On every single target rep OB I've run, though, I've always just run Plasma Beam and Tesla Prison. It's also got Digi-Threat, so I think it still has enough options. It's more like, so OB is the best Sinner Typer enabler because you get the priority for harmful microwaves. You give that to the Chromion, as well as being able to. You just give synergy as a Sinner Typer. So it can be a really strong board, and I really want to hit Digis. So that's my initial thought. But I think that's all it needs. It's got a pretty wide move pool still and options, and both traits are certainly usable. Oh man, it's gonna reset every time. All right, Adoro. I think the Toxic Skin nerf hit Adoro pretty bad. I wouldn't even be opposed to just reverting Toxic Skin back to its original state of when hit with a physical attack, just applies 2 ticks of poison. Because that way there's still counterplay. But at the same time, I want to increase the stamina cost of Denigrate. It's too efficient. I think I'd just increase it to like 29. It's quite a bit, but it's a really strong move. Maybe 28 or something. You'd think 3 or 4 stamina wouldn't matter, but when you're clicking it 5 times in a match, it definitely matters. Azarov, hello, welcome. Maybe even make Psychollab Prio. I know people have been asking for that for ages. Maybe I'll just kind of like brainstorm stuff, and then afterwards I'll look at everything as a whole. So, Toxic Skin Reaver. I don't know. Just make everything white for now. I'll change the colors in the end because there's like a color code for. Or if stuff's a buff for a nerf or what. Toxic Skin Revert. Increase to. We'll say 29 for now because Denigrate's really strong. And then Psychollab. Cyclops Synergy. Reprile. Because Cyclops without Synergy is still a +2 special attack buffing move. If you give that Prio, I mean, maybe we should just have that anyways, because that's not too bad. And if you want to use it to buff, I think that's just fine. Might actually see Cyclabadoro used then. Acronox. Acronox, I think, is actually in a relatively good spot. Both of its traits see use. It's got a fairly wide move pool. The only thing I'd consider on it is just giving it paralyzing poison back. I don't like removing tools, and it's not too often. I don't think that Acronox would even click the move. Maybe because it combos with Petrify would be a bit strong, but I also think that would be a fun strategy. Cyclops being mental synergy feels like bad design. Yeah, it's definitely. The payout for it is strong, and it seems like they would, because of that, they wanted to make it really tough to get off. But it's never used. I think giving it prio would at least help, but of course giving it prio to everything helps. So I want to avoid doing that too much. We'll add paralyzing poison for now. Self synergy is never fun. Yeah. It's just funny how most of the self-synergy moves have gotten nerfed in one way or another, and then there's just Cyclab, which just sucks. At least Cyclab has a use when it's not synergy, sort of, but it's just a completely different game plan. It's weird. I I like Amphitheater a lot. I don't think it needs any change. If anything, it would. If anything, maybe Tesla Prison should get a small stam nerf. Maybe increase to like 16 or 18 or something. Actually, how much is Clay Ball? Out of curiosity. It's also 14. Okay. I don't know. We'll do 17 for now. Just because Sweatband Amphitheaters being able to spam speed control is a bit annoying. Might screw up some rotations, but I don't want to change anything too crazy on it, if anything. I could definitely do nothing, but I think there's other Tems I might want that change for. Anatan. I think Anatan's fine. It's always just held. It depends on the meta. If there's a lot of Earths around, it can't perform. If there's no Earths around, it's ridiculously strong. But I think it's generally okay. If anything, I'd look at Protective Crystal, because Protective Crystal is kind of a garbo trait. Well, there's team. Extra 10% from everything. But I mean, like, it sounds amazing on paper. If you have a partner that's weak to these, then that's great. I'll just leave it as is. Right, Aohi. Should probably give these techniques names. I'm not sure if you'd introduce techniques at the start of the page or at the end. We'll just put it down here. Yeah, let's call it Burnout for now. Burnout's going to be a 130 base power, fire move, 0 hold, 23 stamina. It's just random. And 2 arrow prile. Effect lowers attack on use. Physical fire move. It's like, because it's such a strong negative, it's like I almost want to go 140 BP, but after one attack stage drop, it would still do more than Quetzal with or without synergy. No, I think it's without synergy. So it's just kind of like, maybe that's a bit much. But it's kind of tempting. I'll think about it some more, but for now, I'm gonna say. A special Aohi basically, or Aohi in general, seems to have like 2 solid attacking options for both of its physical or special sets, and then like 1 supportive option in either Hypno or Jinx Whisper. So it really only has 3 move options. So having another move option would be kind of nice. If you could run this strong physical move on a special set, or maybe you run like a mixed attacker Aohi or something, I think that would be cool. And then also the Gamma Burst rework. Would Gamma Burst be busted if it only costs 12 stamina but gained an extra hold? I think that would help a lot of rotations. But if that was like the only change it received, is that it was super stamina efficient, but it was a fairly long hold, I feel like it wouldn't be that bad. Because if you're running like a Barnshee with fake beard, and you use two high stamina options, like maybe Hypoxia and Tornado, and then you use a stam efficient move on the third one, maybe you can even have like a 4-turn rotation then. But your nuke is on 2 hold, so I don't know, something like that. Let's see. Gamma Burst, 2 hold, 12 stamina. Let's put Gamma Burst buffs for now, and then as I define them later, then we'll focus more on like what the actual values should be. Arachnites, I just think overclock. I've also, when I initially brought it up, I was like, maybe overclock could go to +3 speed as well. That would specifically help Arachnite. I'm not sure. Who cares? It would help. Oh, that is not. What? Overclock not exist. Who even gets the move? Like 2-wire? Hedgen? 2-wire doesn't often slot the move, but if it does, having +3 speed would probably be a bit overkill. Probably be too much. Hedgen, going away gift Hedgen would honestly appreciate a +3 overclock. It doesn't get used hardly ever, so I don't think it would be bad for that, and Zalbian really doesn't run the move often. But I don't think it would be bad for it, because Zalbian's kind of the same thing as Arachnite. It has so many flexible offensive options. If you add another option to its move pool, it either has to sacrifice one of its current options to have it, or it doesn't run it. So if you wanted a move to boost your speed on Zalbian, you'd have to sacrifice something. But I've never seen a Zalbian run Arachnite, or run Overclock. So maybe for now, Overclock +3 speed. Maybe Overkill. It's called Overclock. Sounds good enough to me. It's only self as well. Yeah, Baboa. I was thinking about this one a bit. Like, Baboa's in a pretty good spot. Once again, it's similar to Anatan, where if your opponent doesn't have any of the 4X type, it just can wreck an entire team. Withdrawal's a bit weak, but I don't think you can increase it just because 20% heal is strong. It's just that you only get it while resting, which can be tough. I think one of the better things to buff Baboa might be a change to Harmful Lick, which would also be a buff to Guldur and Noxolotl, maybe. Maybe just Guldur. I think it's Guldur, Hazrat. Why isn't it working? Seriously. Alright. Just look up techniques. Something is horribly wrong. Alright. Yeah. I was thinking, what if we make Harmful Lick so that it lowers speed, but increase it in another way? Like maybe just completely change its stamina cost. I don't think you'd need to change its damage. 150 BP is pretty strong. But maybe it costs like 16 stamina instead. That way Baboa can actually use it in a rotation. And Guldur as well. And it's not like Guldur or Baboa care too much about the speed drops. You could almost make it normal prio as well. Just so that Nah. Nah. We'll see. Do harmful lick changes. Say 8. Yeah. 14 stam. Lowers speed on use. I think we can have more moves like that. Crystallize is the only one we have in the game right now that's a strong move with a trade-off. But Crystallize sucks, so it's not even a strong move. It just randomly lowers speed, which doesn't even synergize with Decidor anymore. I mean, I actually just learned when I was looking at Crystallize. That it gives immunity now. Like, who knew that? I didn't. Nobody uses this move. It's only on 2 Tems, Mixing Ellis. It randomly gives minus speed, and it randomly gives the immune condition. So weird. But I think we can have more moves that have strong options, but with a trade-off. That's kind of what I think we should have. You know, not that it especially changes a whole lot. Like I don't know if Bobo still runs the move much, but you never know. I don't think that would be enough to help Goulder alone either, but it could be something. Barnshee, Gamma Burst buffs. This move would probably be cracked on the old Mix Rejuvenate builds. Maybe, yeah, I could see that. I could see that, but we're long past those. Barnshee. What else could you even do for Barnshee? Yeah, I wanna. Barnshee's a glass cannon. You could give Barnshee another move. You could almost give it a priority mental move, just because it already wants to go fast. So if you're allowing a fast Tem to go fast, I think that's good. I think that's good design. Problem is people would still just run the thing with 0 speed. Still have the prio. And invest full bulk, because Barnshee's actually relatively tanky now. So I guess the first thing I would do is just change Gamma Burst like this, and then see where you go. Healing 20% from H slap actually got you. As impressed the tech even existed. Yeah, I mean, this sounds like a fun little combo. Broccolum. Broccolum, I think, is in a great spot. Got so many stat buffs that it's just a bit strong. But nothing crazy, because it's kind of held back by its speed. Marathonist, I think, was a silly change. It's just on 2 Tems I would never run it, because Camouflage gives too much value, and same as Autotomy. I guess the only change I would give to Broccolum is go back to old Mithridates. Because I know some stall players was like, it's so close to being a good stall Tem. I know it has just, however small, is self-healing, but it has it with Gaia. So maybe just... to old Mithrid. Anhalacho, hello, welcome. Have you seen the patch notes contest? I'm just kind of giving my take on it, just going through it. How was your stream? Saw you were playing Pokemon, some Pokemon mod. Ooh, saw it but didn't read too much about it. It's pretty interesting. There's solid prizes too. 3 million Pansuns, $100 US. Really cool fan game. Was it Rejuvenation? I've played a few of them in the past, and it was so good. I know Rejuvenation had an amazing story. I loved it. I don't think it was finished by the time I played it, though. Reminiscia. Yeah, I missed that message. New one. All right, I not heard about that one, but might have to look into it. Do like a good mod sometimes. Roguelike Pokemon. Oh, that sounds awesome. There limits to dumb changes. Yep, maximum of 3 new techniques or traits. No new Tems. Like to keep the competition in the bounds of what Krema might have actually developed themselves. But we are allowed to make a sweeping overhaul of game systems. At least a week ago. Huh. Yep. Reminiscence. It's like it's just a whole bunch of videos on YouTube. No new trade. No, we can have new trades. We can have new trades. It's just up to 3 of them. Up to 3. So we can't have a whole bunch. Oh, great. I gotta love ads. Oh yeah, you can see some kind of pictures. They got whole sprites and stuff. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into this. Gentleman's Duel to Alhi. What does Gentleman's Duel do? If Kapire. Even has the first DLC in new Pokemon. Really? That's crazy. I love Dipland. Like the Applin line is one of my favorite Pokemon lines. The fact that it got another evolution, so great. Higher. Picturing Alhi to do more damage to Tim's above 80% HP. Interesting. Yeah, that would be cool. So it's kind of so Alhi gets an advantage when it's. I like that idea a lot actually. Because if you have Alhi be faster and then something just slightly slower than it, you can still double into stuff and probably kill it. Like imagine an Alhi next to a Specmaster Inky, where both of them are targeting something with that. That would be a huge buff to hyper offense. But you can still kind of counter it with Prio. Kapire. You know, the only buff for Kapire, it's got so many stats now. But once again, Kapire runs into the same problem as most other fire types, where they have 3 viable move slots and then just kind of an extra. In this case, the extra is typically base jump, so you have some sort of coverage. But clicking base jump doesn't give you that much of a boost compared to just using even a resisted Quetzal. It's so silly. And Flaming Meteorite does more damage than a base jump. A resisted Meteorite. That's crazy. So my idea is actually to give Kapire Earthbreaker. I think that would be fun. Don't make it neutral. Wait. Cool competition. Yeah, it's such a cool competition. I love the idea. I'm glad he did it. I'm not even doing it for the prizes. I feel like can almost be like a community patch notes thing, where we can put together some of the best ideas from the competition and maybe tell Crema like, these are great ideas. It got so much popularity. Maybe you should take a look at these. Most of them, I'm trying to keep things mildly like possible, that we could see something as well, rather than something completely crazy. It's where I'd make it neutral. Oh no. I think Earthbreaker's cool because like let's say somebody's swapping into a water type. Well, if you have Earthbreaker up, you can hit him with an electric type move, and it also just gives it a little bit more coverage. It also lets it hit fire types, so it's a hold move. Doesn't get stabbed, but it can potentially hit 2 of the things that Kapire resists. And it doesn't even step on the toes of Volcrane or Drakash. I think it's cool. Having the background, have to study it. Still in school? I'm on break still, but it sounds good. Thank you and good luck with the studying. Eyes Earthbreaker. Yeah, I think Earthbreaker would be a fun change. It's a move I could even see a player using. I don't know why, but in my brain it just kind of like fits. It's just because of a goat thing. I don't know. Cernif. Cernif you don't see much often. Defensive nature is a very strong type. You're in exams period, no classes, but you have to prepare for the exams. Oh, gotcha. Good luck. I'm finally out of that. I am graduated and done. So I just got to start work in a week. Is this a real competition? It is. There's prizes. I mean, it's not. It's. I should say it's not official. It's It's not like a crema competition. It's a community competition. I should probably add that to the title. Hold on. Community. Thank you. Yeah, so it's a community competition, but there are prizes. And rules and stuff, and it's not my idea, it's Tikls. I'm not going to take credit for it. He's the genius that came up with this. I think it's a great idea. So I think people dropped Cernif after the building blocks changes. Only saw Roz one recently. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't like new building blocks. That's probably going to be on my ideas of gears to rework. I'll have to look into it later. I'll do like individual gears and techniques after I go through general Tem changes. I can't wait to nerf marbles. I can't wait to nerf marbles. Oh, still 4 turns for 1 regen. Yeah, it's absolute garbage. It's the worst gear in the game. I'd rather run. I don't know what the second worst gear in the game is because building blocks is just so bad. I mean, Cernif is tough. It has a lot of the stall options it could possibly want. Gaia, Bush. You can't give the thing Bark Shield. Don't nerf marbles, your Articuno runs that item 99% of the time. Ah, darn. Maybe that 1% makes it so that it's not viable enough. Maybe we should buff it instead. Like, it would almost be cool to have something that utilizes Cernif's speed, but you'd have to entice people to run speed on Cernif then. Because it has Water Cutting Lily, but most people don't even use it for synergy. That coverage with double kick. Screw it, give it Bark Shield. That would definitely increase its use rate. Few Temtem are closer to flora than the species. Fascinating plant-animal hybrid uses its leaves to produce healing and nourishing components via photosynthesis. I also add moves that like aren't completely out of nowhere. I like to keep things. Yeah, like so. Reading the Tempedia entry, that helps. So it almost sounds like it's a support, which makes sense. It has Revitalize. I don't know. It's tough. You know, a while ago, there was a question of every single Tem in the game, which ones cannot, under like any circumstances, inflict a status condition on the opponent. Like that's excluding gears. Like which one does not have a technique in its move pool to inflict a status effect on the opponent? And Mimit and Cernif were like the only two. Everyone else can, including like Chimerian with like Confiscate. Like Cernif's got nothing. Cernif's move pool is really small, but I don't know what you can possibly do with it that keeps it balanced and not over the edge. You'd almost need a move that can buff your ally. Giving it another support option is how you think it would diversify it. It's the carry and eats some of the best items for it. Because it's a selfish slot. Yeah, yeah. I also ran it as a carry in the past on kind of a water nature core. Ran it with like a synergy master clay, which is kind of fun. Bark shield would put it over the edge. Be a bit too strong, in my opinion. Although it, because then if you just get one like special defense buff, like imagine just getting a single fluid barrier off and then spamming Gaia, Revitalize, Bark Shield, and a damage option. New style of buffing move. I'd have to look at what all the buffing moves are. Because, let's see, techniques. I don't want to like scroll through this entire one. Optimally, you'd add something to Surnif that it can use on its ally but not on itself. Something like Restore. But Restore wouldn't actually help Surnif. It has self doom removal with Bush. Is Lookout that way too? Like I'm not sure. I don't think there's a whole lot of moves like that though, especially buffing options. Like you can use Stonewall or Court Shield on your ally. Refreshing Breeze. Oh, you're right. You're right. That's a good one. That's a good one. But that's such a good idea. But the problem is then Mimit Surnif because then it has nature synergy with itself. You would drop Bush for that because then it can clear Doom too. I kind of like that though. Petal Dagger Sweatband settling Surnif. That is cool. I do like offensive Surnif. It's just you can't give it too many tools. I want to give Surnif some sort of coverage, but I can't even think of anything that would fit, like thematically. The thing's just a leaf. His big leaf. What kind of other coverage move would you give this thing? Double kick fits. That's just kind of tough. Refreshing Breeze is cool. I'll probably just go with that for now. Right now, I'm more or less just brainstorming, and then we'll look through all the changes later on. Probably not in this stream because we're an hour in and I'm not even through the C's yet. But we'll probably look through and be like, all right, if this was the patch, what would be meta, potentially? What would need nerfs? What needs clarification and stuff? Next up is Chimerian. I think Chimerian's in a relatively good spot, but at the same time, I'm tempted to remove Glassblade from it. I think Glassblade was overkill. I don't think it needed Prio. We could just remove the Prio and Glassblade too, I guess. It's already got a pretty solid typing. It's only got 2 weaknesses, 4 resists. Its weaknesses is low HP, but everyone just invests like max HP. Buffing Chim? No. We're not buffing it. I'm debating on removing Glassblade. Or just removing the Prio on it. What would you slot instead of Glassblade? You'd probably just go back to Rush. So you have some sort of Prio, but it's a trade-off. You go Sharpening, Frond, Crystal Plume, and then yeah, you could run Sharpleaf as well. I've even seen multiple Pecks before, but that's kind of tough. Even though the BP's there, it's just not a good move. Stamina costs too much as well. Rush is more fun, get rid of Glassblade. I like that. Well, there's no reason to remove the move. because if somebody was given like a Chimerian egg to start their playthrough, they wouldn't get a single crystal offensive option until level 96. So we'll just remove the prio on it. Glassblade did not need that buff. I'm sorry, you Gialis Glassblade believers, don't need it. It also hurts physical Xenarith. Yeah, my idea, nerf physical Xenarith because nobody cares. Krema's idea, let's buff it because we want to care. Sorry, Krema, I'm just... Okay, Chromions, I'm going to skip for now. Can I add like a bright yellow space? Nope, that doesn't work. I want the highlights. Highlights what it is. Nope, still not working. Alright, whatever. We're going to ignore the Chromions for now. Because I may or may not look at them on an individual level. Would you run Peck instead? Peck is cool if you want to run Peck. I definitely respect that. And that's a trade-off you're going to have. It does 24 damage. Base. Physical Xenarith getting a new move anyways, don't worry about that. This is actually ignoring all changes that Krem is already implementing. I asked about that. So in my version of the patch notes, Physical Xenarith would not be getting that new move. Moving prio is good. Add explanations to my changes like Krema does. That's the plan at the end. I want to get everything done first, and then I'll add explanations. Playing Tremere for quite a while now. Glassblade is only useful every 10 to 15th games, and even then calling it useful is a stretch. Well, then it's not too bad of a nerf then. I don't want to over-nerf Chim either. I think it's in a relatively good spot. I think it just doesn't need the prio. I think Rush is much more interesting as a trade-off option. So, yeah, so we're going to skip Chromion just because I'll probably go through them later. I know Digichromion is going to be receiving my Digital Aquatic Whirlwind, whatever I call that. Alright, so Cycrox. I already detailed this in the beginning, but I'm going to rework neurotoxins. Oh. Alright, so neurotoxins. No longer dooms. I have no idea how to word this. Neurotoxins. Old effect removed. Using a toxic tick and new effect. Increases damage dealt to poisoned targets by 30%. So this is my idea for neurotoxins rework. I think it makes it really interesting, and it removes the binary part of the Doom. And I got some moveset changes as well, because it has Venom Spread, and that would be too strong. I think the one hold rush change was fair. Not sure it was necessary, but it hurt Goring a lot. I think it was fair. I do. It's not super punishing. It's not a move that's designed to be spammed, and Gorong was a bit overtuned. And all of its other users, stuff like Raikin, potentially Mulgu, I'm a Mulgu Rush believer, they're not too crippled by it. I'd say it was a very fair change. Someone who played Gorong a lot, this patch is still fine. Feels worse to you. I think it's fair. Just don't have the comparison since I didn't use Gorong before, but I think Gorong's still really good. Would never break Venom Spread? Absolutely. I already have it over here. Like, remove. Loses Venom Spread. It's okay. We're not. It's move pool. Toxic gas. Been added to its move pool. Would Cycrox get another move to inflict poison, or would its trait be a buff meant for its ally to damage attempt Cycrox is poisoned? Something you could potentially do is that neurotoxins give poison ticks, ignore anything that's... And I could, but no. Let me look at Cycrox's moveset. My initial thought is mainly it's meant to be supported to be able to get the damage boost, but through paralyzing poison, it can still apply those toxic ticks. You could potentially give it like a Rushiol. I don't think that would be bad. I don't think you want to give the thing toxic ink. Maybe. No. No, but we'll go with Rushiol because the way I'm designing this is it's meant to be like an offensive carry for toxic cores. That's kind of my whole plan. And Urushiol is a move that does exactly that. It's just so it at least has an option to apply toxic ticks outside of paralyzing poison. But I've also got other changes for it. Like there's quite a bit I was changing with Cycrox. It's more or less a full rework. Sharp Rain. This is more a meme. I heard a long time ago that Cycrox should get Sharp Rain because it can use it on itself for water synthesis. And I think that's so fun. And I think a two-hold coverage move isn't all that crazy. And Cycrox is a frog, so having Sharp Rain is within its thematic range, I'd say. And if you're having like offensive Cycrox, coverage is also kind of nice. So I think it's reasonable and I think it's cool. Um, and then we're gonna uh, I don't know what to call this move yet, but it's just gonna be my digital aquatic whirlwind. It's viral invasion, 110 BP, special digital move. One hold. Maybe like I don't know about the stam. So I'll just put a question mark here because I'll probably change that later. It's reprio. So this is something I'm mainly adding for Munko. My idea for Munko is to remove harmful microwaves, but then add whatever this move is, which is a one hold, aquatic whirlwind. It's just that way Munko has weaknesses that you can kind of exploit because it's so strong. Brain self proc is actually huge if you invest special attack, right? But it's also limited because first of all you're losing tempo by attacking yourself, and it's two holds. You can't spam it, so it's still cool. So this is my Cycrox rework basically. I like this idea a lot. I'm sure some people won't, but I think it's cool. uh, I don't know if it'd be too strong or not. Cycrox hasn't seen a whole lot of play outside of maybe lower its. I was gonna lower its defense a little bit. That way, I'm a little afraid of it being too strong, and because it's so far it's just been so bulky. Lower its defense by 5 stages. Just a little bit, just because I like Tempt having a weakness on one side of their defenses. So Cycrox has slightly lower defense. I think that's cool. Don't agree with adding more coverage generally, but they remove so much coverage. You're cool with adding some well thought out niche cases. Yeah, for sure. That's kind of my thoughts here. Like stuff like Earthbreaker, Kapire, and Sharp Rain Cycrox. I feel like holds or like coverage utilizing the hold system is good design. That's my opinion. I even liked Nox Bomb on the birds, but I understand that it probably was too much, especially on Tuvine. So, And even Clay Ball and Garunder was probably a bit much. So I think changes like this, though, are pretty cool. Marco, hello, welcome. Drakash. Drakash, I think, is... Drakash is one of the times I want to receive one of the new traits, I think. I think. Because Heat Discharge. I think is... I know it's actually... It's actually seen some use now. Um, but I think it can be more interesting. I'll just... I don't even need to type it in. New effect. Affect or effect? No, don't care. I'll change it later. New effect. Dealt by all fire type moves is by 12%. So my idea would be the heat discharge is kind of an aura effect, where all fire type moves on the entire board are increased by 12%. Maybe it would only be like by 8%. But the problem with this is you'd have to think about what do you do with Hellfire synergy. Oh, and also like... Yeah, 12% seems too high. Yeah, I already lowered it to like 8%. Maybe it would even have to be lower. Both you yourself and your ally. Well, it's not just yourself and your ally. I was thinking it would also be the opponents. Just for fun. We'll just capitalize all for now. Because it's just like... It's more or less like Sunny Day from Pokemon. That was kind of my idea. So Drakash almost has a slot as like a fire support with Sparks and Heat Discharge, but also has like a carry option just by dealing extra damage with fire type options. It's just I don't know what to do about Hellfire. Do I just remove the thing entirely? I'm tempted to. Like I think the other option is to change the synergy from Hellfire to something else. What if it nerfed Waters too? That's a bit overkill. I think this is enough. Doesn't need to nerf Waters. Even if it did, it would be pointless. Drakash is 4 times weak. The amount of things you'd survive is minimal. Because if you were to get rid of Hellfire, what would you replace it with? It's already got Fiery Soul. Fire Flame doesn't matter. Fire Tornado. It's got Magma Cannon, and that's basically it for special fire type options. You bet you're broken have a little bit of spread damage whenever you hit someone with a fire move. New Heat Discharge. So it'd be like Flame Burst from Pokemon then. I don't think that would be bad. I think it would be harder to code. I think I don't think the I think something like that would be a bit hard to code. I think this is more just like giving everything on the board fire chip, basically. I feel like coding wise it would be more possible. Magma Can is decent. Yeah. That's probably what it's gonna be. We'll have to see though. I'm not sure. I think with I don't know, Sparks isn't going to change a whole lot, but it should be at least fun. I know there's some people that have been asking for it, and I think it's a good idea. Only ban single target moves though, right? I also, yeah, I don't know. Sparks Underwater Custodian Naga. That's fun. I like it. Just wait until you get tsunami'd. Ah, Gallios. No, Gallios is a tem I haven't put like any thought into. I haven't played against it much at all since since its release. The biggest thing I'd want to do with Gallios is to remove one of its, or like combine its current traits and add a new trait. But I also don't want to waste one of my three new technique slots on Gallios. Only thing you could suggest is an off trait. Yeah, exactly. It's just Gallios is what it is. It's just so weird. Probably just give it an existing one. You know, that's not a bad idea. Let's check out trait lists and see if there's anything fun. Give it arcane wrap. Make it so it's not like a Vex exclusive. It keeps the bulky. Because I mean, there's a couple times with Parrier, but no other ones with arcane wrap. Hitting one thing you thought of as a potentially new trait. Oh, stupid auto mod's too sensitive. I gotta change that. Gravitational pull, which traps everyone for a turn when Gallios enters the field. That's interesting. That's definitely interesting. Gallios' abilities are cool and unique. He just needs a full rework, though. I don't know. Well, I'm gonna keep looking through this stuff. Arcane Wrap would be an option, in my opinion, for an existing trait. Just trying to think. I mean, so many of these are just like signature traits, and I don't want to give them a signature trait. I know Arcane Wrap is, but it shouldn't be. It's just a general. I'll give it Confined as well. We'll give Gallios the new or like old neurotoxins. We took it away from Cycrax. We'll give it back to Gallios. That way he can continue interacting with Doom. Dreaded Alarm. It kind of takes it away from Pocus, but I don't think it would be even that bad of a temp for it. Earthbound. Honestly, Earthbound would be kind of cool on Gallios. You'd have to really look at Size Munch though and consider what else you could do with it. I'm just gonna put that down for now. We'll keep looking though. Would keep Earthbound Size Munch exclusive. Yeah, but it's honestly a really weird trade on Size Munch if you think about it. Size Munch's game plan isn't to bulk your defenses up, and it hardly clicks Earth moves to it. It's basically you could just add the plus defense as a bonus to Size Munch's Wreck, and honestly, that would be the exact same effect as the Earthbound trait on Size Munch. The amount of times that I see what is it? That I see sand splatter or stonewall used on Size Munch is almost zero. It's just kind of a meme. Your idea for Size Munch was to give it some sort of trait that interacts with melee moves for Size Munch too, so it has a little bit of both. Oh, instead of self-esteem. I don't know, I kind of like self-esteem, but that would be an option for sure. Check what else we have as potential options though. Escapist. could almost give it Final Stand. It's just like it's already one of the mythicals, so you could give it one of the raid boss traits. It doesn't have any self healing. I just don't know how much value it would get out of that. It's more or less just energy reserves for defensive buffs. Just all right. Let's see what else. Both other stars kind of got two playstyles towards tanky and speedy. Naga's the speed control and an offensive one. Size is one good one, one never used one. Yeah. Size much is I haven't played with size much almost ever. I actually can't even remember the last time I put size much on a team. Even a theme team. I cannot remember. If ever. Maybe that's why I can't. Maybe I didn't. So that's going to be a tough one to look at once I get there. Individualist I want to rework too. It's tough. I wish I had more options to rework traits. I want to rework Resilient too, but Welcomer is just a higher priority for me. I am not seeing a whole lot of others ones right now. I mean, there's options. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could give it. Seismic needs a change too. Ah man, you get so many good ideas. Like how I've already implemented like 2 new moves and 1 new trait. Maybe I just have to ditch Heat Discharge change for this potential. Patch notes and just leave it as an idea. Welcome only procs on swap in. My idea is to rework the trait completely. Rework it to give 15% health on entry. Basically have the trait be Baton Pass. And put Shell Lantern more of a support role. I mean, it already is a support, but just... I guess it's more of like a stall support role, is what I mean. We'll just leave Gallios like this and I'll decide later. I think it's a good start, though. Gario. I don't think Gario needs a whole lot of changes. Marathon is still a bit kind of goofy. It's on a 10 with a 4x weakness. Its stats are fair considering what it is. Thing has... I think Gario's in a good spot. I like Gario. I don't think it's crazy. I think it has... If anything, you could look at changing Marathonist. But I don't think... Yeah, whatever. Gario doesn't need any changes. It's a good 10. Which of Supernova or Protostar would go first? I would say that Protostar. No, I don't know. I don't know the Gallios traits offhand. It would be the one that deals damage based on more HP. Because then there's counterplay to it. I feel like there's more counterplay to it. And yeah, whichever one deals damage based on how much HP it has remaining. That would be the first one. Marathon's going to Gary, been destroyed by one once. Like, if you don't have that many counters to Gary, it just keeps pumping out damage. It's mega tanky one with heavy armor. That's fun. I like that. And yeah, I think Gary is good. Gazma, we're getting stat nerfs. I haven't had a whole lot of stat nerfs yet, but Gazma, it's just What? No, I did number. Gazma's just getting its HP and defense lowered. That's it. I guess I also increased the stamina on Tesla Prison to like 17. Not a huge nerf to Tesla Prison, but something. And then Gazma just needs what was its most recent batch of changes? Because we'll just revert those. HP has been 54 down to 49. Defense 52 down to also 49. I think that's all Gazuma needs. I'd like to take more away, but I don't want to change it too much. We'll also... Let's do this. Let's do this now. I meant to do it at some point. I didn't know when, but we're going to do it now. Almost tempted to keep them both and have it go first based on where Galio's signature move is in your moveset, but that sounds weird. That does sound a little weird. Add reverse HKS for Marathonist Thames. I think it's okay to have like trade-offs. I've already done that on a couple options so far. Cosmo's really good at just sitting there and dealing electric and wind damage. Yeah, that's why I just want to remove its ability, its staying power a little bit, increasing stamina costs and lowering its defensive stats. Alright, so one of the things I want to do is I want to look at reworking Rend. I don't want to change it completely. So this one shouldn't count as a rework. Because right now, like... Rend sucks. It's 2-hold, 26 stamina for piddle damage, and it's only normal prio. And a single other target. You can't even use it on yourself. This is a move with so much potential that... I don't know why it's nullifies for 4 turns, but who cares? Has this move ever been nerfed? It has. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. I didn't play in... Maybe I did. I don't know. That's so weird. Alright, so... Yeah, let's... Rend. So I think our options are to either make it 0 hold, high prio, 1 turn of nullify, and have it just be a pure support to buy time, but I don't like that. I think 2Kai Overlord. I apologize if I'm wrong, but are you are you the new like Laddie's new account? Welcome. We're doing so Tikls is running a competition for like a make your own patch notes sort of thing. And there's prizes and stuff. There's just a couple rules. I went through everything at the start of the stream, but it's basically what do you think should be done for the game? And I think it's cool. I think most people used to play it when Valash literally didn't have a good last move option, but it does less damage than Ninja at this point. Yeah, right. That makes sense. Only long-term nullify moves should keep that part. Okay. You know what? Yeah, I can agree to that. So we'll keep it on 1 hold. Maybe we remove the damage. We'll remove the damage on it. We'll just... That'd be 18 stam. Yeah. I'll write this all in a prettier format later. I'm just like putting ideas down. 1 hold, 18 stam. High prio. Nullify for 4 turns. Like the question is, would this be too strong? Because you're removing the damage on it, so you're a lot happier hitting your ally with it. I suppose we can add. I think it's already single target, but we'll make sure you can't use it on yourself as well. I don't know if there would be any abuse cases with it, but it's just better safe than sorry. Rend works on allies, yeah, it does, but you'd be dealing a 50 base power move on them. I think this is good. Maybe a stam increase. Might be. So it's just another support slot. What Tems can really abuse neutralize? Give it to Digis. So maybe Gazuma paired with Digis with this move would be a little strong because you can't hit them super effective. But if you're running full speed on Digis anyways, they probably die to 2 neutral hits regardless. Two-wire. Two-wire, the common factor is only 1 turn though. I guess it's just you play two-wire next to a Tem that has Rend so that after the initial Nullify wears off, you can do it again. That's kind of a fun strategy, though. I don't think that's awful. We'll think of abuse cases towards the end. I think for right now, this is what I'm going to go with. Sounds fun. Oh, okay, yeah. It does sound kind of fun. Just completely remove type advantage. But you're making use of a status that you hardly ever see, and I think that's what's important. Like, you never see nullified. It's great. I know Pigment Inverter was added, but it wasn't enough. It's kind of disappointing. Actually, so who all gets Rend? Vlash, Volgon, Piranha. I don't know how many of these Tems would ever click the button, but it's there. Generify Hedgen says hello. I mean, Generify is at least only on self. This new Rend idea would be on one other target, so it's kind of still different stuff. What's new Pigment Inverter do? If you hit an opponent with a not very effective move, it applies Nullified for 3 turns. I actually just recently used it with a Fire Chromion and a Mimit. So my first Fire Chromion would use Hellfire on like a Tulkin that my opponent would swap in. It would nullify it, and then the second one would be normal damage. And then I just double it with 2 Fire Flames and then finish it off. Is it better than Cinder Typer? I'd have to say no. But it was fun. It was fun. I mentioned it towards the start too, but I'll probably do like a Chromion mini-series. I'll have a Chromion at the focal point of like a whole bunch of teams, and we'll just think of what we can do. That'll be when I do my next comp stream, whenever that is. We're on Grunder now. I've actually never looked at Grunder's stats like in this chart. It's funny. It's just high attack, high special defense. I actually kind of like that. Old PI was better. I think old PI and old Iridescence would have been okay if they just revealed on like the first turn it's on the field. But at the same time, pick banning for that was a huge pain. So not a huge fan of it. So I know I wanted to touch on a lot of Toxics just because it's so strong. Grunder's defensive typing is ridiculous. It does get walled, completely walled by two types though. I think if anything, I just want to lower this thing's defense. Not that its defense is good, but I don't want to lower its special defense. It's like it's designed to be more of a special defense tank. Nerfing that would feel bad. And its attack, I think, is fine too. I don't even want to change it too much. We'll just nerf its defense just like by 3 points. Not a whole lot, but it opens its vulnerability just a little bit more, which I think is good. Gozy. I don't even know if I want to change much with Gozy. I was debating on buffing Sparkling Bullet. Was that list you're doing? Tikls came up with an idea to have a community PvP patch notes competition. So it's basically like we're all having there's a competition for who can make the best patch notes. It's all theoretical, but it's fun. There's prizes and stuff too. I think it's just a really good chance for us to come together as a community and really show Crema some good ideas and stuff that we'd like to see. This list is just my ideas and just kind of detailing out like my move reworks and additions. And then these are the actual changes I'm debating on making. Just kind of brainstorming at this point, but looking at everything individually. The buff Slingshot, unsynergized Sparkling Bullet sounds kind of scary. Well, I would just buff Synergy, because it's not often you're gonna run. Like you almost never see Sparkling Bullet anymore, and I think it would be a nice buff to, particularly Ragnit and Physical Inky. But like Synergy, you're not really running Synergy with it very often, so I think you should get more value for when you do. How much damage does it even do with Synergy? It's like 98. Yeah, 98. That's so pitiful. I'll just buff it a little bit, not too much. One 104 sounds good. It probably is like a completely pointless change, but it's something. I don't think Goldie needs much, if anything. Okay, what's next? Goulder. Oh, Goulder. Oh, okay. Look at that speed stat. Look at that toxic immunity. Look at this. Yeah. Give body stretch to Goulder. That'll make it tankier for sure. Kind of a funny thematic thing as well. Honestly, I don't want to touch Goulder's traits much. Both of his traits are kind of bad. Strong, if anything, I'd look at strong liver. Maybe just changing it a little bit. Because I already changed harmful lick. Made it a lot more stam efficient, but as a trade-off, it lowers speed by 1 stage. But so on a Tem like Goulder, it's basically just a straight buff. Also planning on changing Novice Punch to basically be Slingshot, but I think that's inconsequential. Make Strong Liver gives some resistance to special attack, and Punch Bag gives some for fit. It doesn't really seem fitting though. Let's see, what is... Protects them from taking damage from Toxic, and restores their HP equal to the amount of damage they would have taken. See, but that sucks. I just want a minor change. Like, what's an additional effect to add to that? One turn of regen? I like that. That's simple enough. It follows the point of the move. Even knocks spawn for self proc. How many toxic moves can self proc? Single target, Nox Bomb, single target, Toxic Slime. Does it have Toxic Slime? Give a Toxic Slime back. I'm okay with that. Um, Regen would probably be more healing the main part of the trait, probably. I'll actually just have this in order. Uh, this was the other change I thought about for Guldur, is giving it Fiery Heist. I debated on even Magma Cannon, but I couldn't think that there's ever a reason why Guldur would ever thematically have Magma Cannon. But I think Fiery Heist is alright. It allows it to double as both a toxic and a burn support, which I know is almost stepping on Hazrat's toes, but Hazrat's, if you think of Hazrat, you don't really think of burn ticks much. It has fast embers, and it's kind of toxic ticks with wastewater and even contagious. But I think this is alright. Hot garbage. And it's not a damaging option either. It's just like a status move, so. Lawmance gets it, why can't Guldur get it? That way you also have another Fiery Heist user that may actually be next to an Earth type. Potentially. To get the synergy. I don't think there's anything crazy with it. I think it's just kind of like experiment and give Guldur a little bit more utility and fit its thematic playstyle. Because like if let's say you use Toxic Ink, and you want to target one specific Tem, I guess no, you just be you can alternate between burn or toxic, whichever one is more important. Thematically, it's hot garbage. I know exactly. Toxic cloudy substance. Oh no, I mean complex primitive. I mean the Tempe doesn't really tell me what Guldur is, but I always kind of view it as. I almost view it as like smoke or something. I always kind of just mix the idea. The ideas of like fire and this like smoky garbage stuff together. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna be crazy. I know lots of people in this competition are probably gonna give Guldur an entirely new trait, and I think that's fair. I think there's just other Tems and other traits that I'd like to rework before Guldur, and I think just adding these simple changes would at least have Guldur used a little bit. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Gorong! Seismic. Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to just making Seismic like 12 or 15% and then just calling it a day. Like, I don't want to change too much on Gorong. I don't think there's a whole lot to change. I don't want to give Gorong coverage. I don't. Tireless Gorong I think is fine. Ever since the Rush Hold nerf, I don't think it's crazy. It's a bit hard to punish a Gorong. I guess the Tireless nerf I mentioned this point. Tireless. I think Tireless should double the damage taken from OX, but I don't want to change the trait any more than that. It's mainly a hit to Mashuk, and it would hit Gorong, but I think that's okay. I think it's okay. Like Gorong's kind of a pain. It would encourage swapping out your Tireless Tems after they get the procs rather than continuously stacking. It ruins Gorong. It does hurt it significantly, I know. So maybe there should be some amount of better compensation. Or maybe you'd rather just remove it from Shook. I don't like that idea. I think if anything, it just encourages like meditation on Gorong, or maybe you would even potentially look at Seismic. So what can we do to Seismic just that's simple enough, but can still have a large effect on a match? Do you just change it to a higher percent amount? Does that does that help? I don't know. 7% stamina too. I mean, maybe. Do you just turn Seismic into what Mom's Lunch is? More or less? Lose HP and then also inflicts exhaust on everything on the field? And then maybe you could even change Mom's Lunch then. So that way the people who want the effect of Mom's Lunch can still have it, but they're forced to use a specific Tem. And if you're using Seismic on Gorong, you're losing Tireless, so it's a huge nerf that way. Gorong doesn't have a whole lot of utility outside of, like, stall ability, outside of block and... I almost kind of like that idea. Seismic inflicts exhaust on all opponents, and then we rework Mom's Lunch. That way it's also not a new effect either. The other option would be something like... Not sure if synergizes well with him. I think that's the point. That's the point. Is to keep the option available, so you're not actually removing a tool from the game, but you're limiting its possibility of use. I was trying to think, do we even bother to keep the HP reduction? Maybe we lower it down to 5%? Do we have the exhaust hit the ally? Is there something else we could do with it? Maybe Seismic lowers defense on entry. You just see the Gorong swap in and out and in and out. You get constant value. The only thing is that like Gorong doesn't have any supportive buffing moves. Because the main thing with Mom's Lunch is you can put it on like a Karen. You swap in the Karen, you exhaust your opponents, and you get hold off a Stonewall to do something that turn. You'd almost have to double swap on a stall team in order to do that. I know nerfing Mom's Lunch would be a huge hit to stall players. I don't want to hit them like that, but I think for now I'm going to put that idea down. Yeah. It's just kind of a thought. I think that's all I'm going to do with Gorong. I think his moveset is alright. Also, Synergy Show-Off's another way to counteract double OX damage from Tireless. So it's not like there's no counterplay. Gorong has a lot more counterplay to it than Mashuk does. Yeah, Grandpa Bird season. 66% up to 100%. That's the big thing, but I also want to rework Bully. I'm in control now, I get the power. We're bringing back Bugged Bully. This is yeah, this is kind of what I want to do with Bully. I don't know if 2040 is enough though. I feel like 2550 would be too much. I could have it individually be 25 and 40%. Now just 25% damage if the opponent has a status effect, increased to 40% if two statuses are applied. If with two, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's good. I'm not sure if Grandpa needs anything else other than that. You have Bully, which is a more general like Grandpa carry trait. Bird's agent to do 2x to wins as if it were super effective, so 4x to Volerend. I don't like that. The other option was just to double resisted wind damage, but I don't know how you would code that specifically and leave electrics out, or I don't know how you would word it either. So I just think bird season damage should be increased to 100%. The only special cases are Iridescence Windcoish and Volerend, but I think that's fine. I think that's just fine. Feels a little bad buffing a wind, but Grandpa needs it. I think these two are enough to put it over the edge, though. I don't want to change anything else about it. It's got its weakness in stamina, which is enough of a weakness. Yeah, yep. Alright, I'm going to take a very brief break. Just grab some water real quick, so I'll be back in like a minute or two. Alright, sorry about that. I am back. On to Grumper. Grumper's got like every single change I wanted for it. The one thing... This is about the only thing I wanted to change on Grumper. Is the only reason I really am doing it specifically for Grumble is one, because they both have a horn on their head, so it fits thematically, kind of. But also... it's kind of fun for energy reserves Grumble, so I wanted to leave it for that. I think that's, yeah, because I mean, I've been using Grumper. It's good. It's got weaknesses. It's got a horrible defensive type, but a great offensive type. I think that's a good trade-off. Inductor and Coward's Rest are both usable. It's got so many good options. I can't think of anything else I'd want to change on it. Just that one minor change. I'm writing nothing changed Grumper because it changed Grumble. It's just kind of like a trickle-down effect rather than a direct. It is affected. I knew it. My brain just won't write it down. Gialis, I don't think I'm going to change Gialis. I guess the Glass Blade. Reword a lot of these things later on. Hazrat. There's no reason for this thing to have Harmful Lick. I don't have to remove it, I guess. But it's just like, my new Harmful Lick is very stam efficient, but it's still low prio and it lowers speed by 1 stage on use. So it's just like, when is Hazrat ever going to click that? I can't imagine it. I don't even know why Hazrat has the move in the first place. You know, when I think of a Tem that has a tongue, I don't think of Hazrat. No, Hazrat. It's just kind of weird. There's no reason to remove it though. But I think we're gonna go for it. Removed. Just because, why not? I also want to remove Venomous Claws, but I don't know what I'd replace it with, if anything. I guess the one thing I debated on doing is actually removing Toxic Farewell from Hazrat and replacing it with New Bully. I'm not a huge fan of Toxic Farewell as a trait. Its counterplay is limited. And I think Hazrat might be a fun Tem to utilize Bully on. Can't even force him to OX, you just have to eat it. I know, it's a weird trait because the person running it has little to no agency over when it procs, and the person playing against it has little to no choice about proccing it as well. It's quite a bit of just free damage. There's next to nothing. You can't burn tick it down. You can't toxic tick it down. It's a Hazrat. So yeah, I'm gonna do it. What's that other Toxic Fang? Give it Toxic Fang instead. Just so that the like PvE players and like people who get a low level Hazrat for their playthrough can have a move to use. I mean, Hazrat's got some pretty menacing teeth. I think Toxic Fang is fine. That way, if people want to get their Toxic Tick value out of Hazrat, they got to use Contagious, and then Bully gives it like an offensive trait. I don't know if that would be too much for it. Hate to see it go, but it makes sense. Can't. Yeah, it's just there's too little counterplay to it for like sheer value from a trait. It's not fun to play against. It's not. It's just yeah. It's not an interesting trait either. I don't want to remove Contagious because one, it's a signature trait, and two, it's super interesting. So I think this is just. I'm trying to think. 40% damage boost might be too much on Hazrat. You just pair it with like an Acronox. But I was looking at how many moves apply to statuses, and there's not a whole lot. Very faintly hear cassette piece in the background. Is it that quiet? The music was supposed to be louder, but yeah, I love cassette piece. Soundtrack's great. I think we're just gonna leave this as is, and then if I decide that Bully's too strong on it later, we can look at it again. But I think without Venomous Claws, I think there's a lot of potential. Imagine. I made this change earlier for Arachnite, the overclock. Was trying to think. I don't know. I don't like hedging too much, but I don't know what else I'd do. Yeah, see now it's too loud. At least for me it is. Maybe not for you guys. I guess I just. I don't know. It'd be nice to give hedging another option for going away gift, but I think this is fine. I think. Oh, you know what? There we go. That's all I want to do for hedging. I forgot that going away gift was changed at some point so that it doesn't pass when it hedge and dice overexert or status. It's just it was such a stupid change. It's you poison hedge and all of a sudden it doesn't get the boost. Hedge doesn't really run overclock anyway unless you run gag. Even then, you probably just want hook and charcoal wall. Yeah, but having the option there I think is good. Gag fails when you die to OX status makes no sense. I know it was a very weird change. It's kind of in the same realm as Denigrate doesn't proc rejuvenate. It's kind of in the same boat. Of it was just a bug that Crema sounds like they didn't want to bother fixing, and so they just called it a feature. So I would say you revert that feature. Counter plays already to ignore it. I know, like Hedgen has to attack itself with Cyber Claws if it wants to do anything. Inky. Is the first? It's the first Tem that has Novice Punch that's relevance. Gulder and Gorong had it, but it's not relevant for them. All right. So thematically, it does this make sense? No. I just change the flavor text on the move a little bit. I want a weak move that gives +1 speed. That's not priority, and I would just want the option to be there. And so I think physical Inky probably wouldn't slot the move, but I want the option to be there. And then Sparkling Bullet. Synergy is like 104, I think I said. 104, yeah. It's not a whole lot of changes to Inky. Special Inky is quite strong, but it has counterplay. If anything, I'd look at removing DC Beam or removing the priority on it. I think that's what pushed Inky over the edge. I think having a nuker like Inky was already fine without Prio, but the fact that they gave it Prio was probably just overkill. It'd be nice if there was like a sharp stabs for special attackers. Like in this specific case, like if DC Beam was like on a hold, I think that would be better. But there's just no reason to like DC Beam is the early game option for so many Tems. I can't change that just for Inky. So I think DC Beam just loses priority. Or maybe we change this. I don't want to change this damage. I'll look at it more later. I think that's good. Most people would be like, Inky's not even that strong. It gets completely countered by Earth types and a whole bunch of other stuff. Prio Crystal Spikes. And the other thing you could possibly do is actually make it like lowers Inky's special defense a little bit so it dies to a Crystal Spikes. You can live a Crystal Spikes from anything other than a Zenareth with 0 invest on Inky now because they just pumped some base stats into the Tem for some reason. I think we're just going to go with this for now. A couple buffs to physical Inky and a fairly significant nerf to special. There's a minor change somebody suggested a while ago. I think it's a good change. It's you'd like to give a special crystal move to make up for it, but anything else on it's really strong. Yeah, I know. If there was this, like, you can't have crystal dust on Inky. No, I think it's good just having crystal. No, whatever it's called, crystal dirt or quartz dirt, quartz dirt. I think that's good. Or see a lose DC beam, then his prio will be dropped. Really? Who else gets hurt by losing the DC beam prio though? Like offensive Volgons? It's about the only other one. Ragnar doesn't run it. Goldsy doesn't run it. Scaravolt doesn't really run it. Obi doesn't run it. I guess it would hurt Chromion. That would hurt Chromion a little bit. Novice Punch Synergy now executes digital typings from a funny little change. I'm trying to keep it mildly realistic though. Is there another weak electric move we can add to compensate? Oh, Voltapuncture. That way, once again, uh, story inkies have an option at least. Voltos physical, yeah, yeah. It's not to make special inky still viable. It's just to have an option for the story playthrough, so that they have an electric move before level 20. That's the only reason. Tentacle Whip is bad. You need to reduce the stamina it uses. Yeah, I was just gonna look at the move. Yeah, I don't think 17 stamina. If you turn it into a water move, so the Calibus gets. I think it's fine. It's not a whole lot of use, but people might run it instead of Water Blade on Calibus, and it might be a little fun option for Noxolotl. You look at Calibus as a whole though, because it is a pain. The highest defense in the game is like 0 stamina and low speed. Good defensive typing. I'll probably nerf Water Blade on an individual level. That's probably. I guess I could lower the stam. Just a little bit. Could even remove Water Blade from Calibus as a whole. Xavier, hello, welcome. I was gonna do a patch notes for this competition, but didn't have the time. I mean, it just started yesterday. I mean, the competition goes until January 21st, so there's plenty of time, unless you're busy for quite a while. Be quite unfortunate. So who all gets Water Blade left? Mastion, Nesla, Chromion, Oshiara. So we can remove it from Calibus with little to no repercussions. We're going to keep the stam as is. We're going to remove Water Blade. To work you go. Rip. Yep, I'll be starting to work in a week myself. Aquastone probably should be buffed too. Be a cool. What would be a cool buff for Aquastone? Ice Stalactite should probably be looked at as well. I'll just take notes of them and probably do them later. Because right now they're both basically the same move and both of them are bad. Let's work on the patch notes. Oh, if we from work for a while, it's just university for now. Next 5 months. Gotcha, gotcha. Try not to make Ice Stalactite a bad move challenge. I mean, I kind of like Ice Stalactite to be usable for like aggressive Shumeen as well. It will be a little bit tough though to have it be different than every other move out there. A thing to look at: the useless late game weak moves. I think right now I've got a pretty good general changes. On some Tems that really struggle, just adding some niche high hold coverage options, removing some prio options from stuff like Chimuri and Gialis and Inky. Minor stat changes for some Tems that need it. Trying to give Tems more options for their roles. Token. I like Token now, because they gave it Prio and they give it 1 turn of Isolate. I don't think it's crazy or anything, but I think it's okay. Data Burst and Whatever Chromion's like signature tail whip is, that one sucks. Tongue Lash. Tongue Lash sucks. That's what it is. I really want to lower Calibus's special defense a little bit. Just a little bit. That's a personal change of mine. I think Calibus is a bit too tanky. It's so tanky on the physical side, and you're investing a lot of TV's special. You're investing like probably a minimum of 900 bulk in your Calibus. It's like 500 HP, 400 special defense, and then 100 flex TVs. So if we can just nerf the special defense even just a little bit, I think that's good. Alright, next, Karen. I think Karen is generally good. I heard someone say give it Undermine. Tokens of Wonder work for the better. True. Kind of tough to make big changes since people can be traded late game Tems. So balance, you want them to be able to naturally progress the rest of the game. Yep, that's kind of the other thing I'm trying to keep consistent with a lot of my changes. Giving Swally Spores. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad one. Alright, let's see. I mean, Karen, both of his traits are used in stall. It's got just about every single stall option it could want now. I think it's pretty balanced. I like Karen. I think it's in a good spot. The only thing I could potentially give it is like a coverage move. You know what? We'll give it knockback. We'll give it knockback. Because I heard some people saying, like, well, you can heal off the damage from knockback with Scavenger. I think that's fun if you want to run an offensive Karen. It's not like a stall set's never going to run knockback on Karen. But it helps aggressive Karen by giving it coverage. Kind of the coverage it lost with Goring from changing from physical to special. So, minor change. I think that's good. Kinu. Denigrate, Stam Nerf. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like 29. I set it at. Yeah, 29. Denigrate's too valuable. I didn't want to nerf Kinu with that. I mainly wanted to nerf Adoro. But, you know. What else can you do for Kinu? It'd be nice to give it another support option. It would have to be something that doesn't completely break it. Because right now, Kinu's a really decent healer support. It's got both Lifeful and Revitalize. It can provide speed with Turbo. It's almost like Kinu's so balanced that everything else being stronger is what keeps Kinu held back. Let's see if there's a reasonable speed tier we can have Kinu go over. We'll let it do its supporting a little better. Nothing crazy, but I don't think Kinu doesn't need moveset or trait changes. I don't think it needs bulk. I don't want to give Kinu bulk. We can look at its speed. But Kinu's 74, so Hazrat. We could potentially give Kinu up to 79 speed. So it can outspeed Hazrat, which is relevant. It's a bit bigger of a buff than I was hoping for, but It almost works against Denigrate, though. It's not like people have to build Kinu slow or fast, but the option's there. I feel like it makes more sense for supports to be faster. If that's kind of like purely their role. If you're not, like if you're having support moves on an offensive Tem or a tank, then it makes less sense, but a pure support like Kinu, I think it's fine. You've seen people try gun Kinu in the recent meta, it hits like a wet noodle. Yeah, it does feel pretty bad. Does it need to outspeed Hazrat naturally? Well, it's not naturally. At max speed, it also gets outsped. So this gives Kinu the potential to outspeed up to max speed Hazrat. That's the thing. Koish, I'm not gonna. Koish is like Chromion. I'm gonna pass on it until the very end, and then maybe I'll work on some of them individually. Lawali. Alright, Lowaddle. People about to start running E-Drink on Hazrat instead. I think that's fair. If that's what they want to do. Spores level 3. I think that's a fine change. It's not what I'm going to personally include in mine. These are two changes I've mentioned back with old backhanded. But I think even with current backhanded, I think this is still nice. Cheer up just so you have another turn 1 healing option. Maybe something to get off holds. And then Intimidation fits thematically for a Butterfly. It creates a little bit of space for a fast sweeper Lawali. So it can run it either on its offensive set or just create space and be a support option for its backhanded set as well. So I just think it's a really good option. That doesn't push it over the edge or anything. So Lowaddle's really tough. Lowaddle will never be totally viable due to this. Ooh, 4x weaknesses. It's kind of found a niche. My first thought, I was thinking about Lowaddle because I knew this was going to be a problem. My first thought was remove Bush, but you can't do that because you need it to transfer to Obi. Because Bush is the way that Lowaddle creates space for itself. In order to get blue screen holds off. Because you can Bush into blue screen and it's tough to deal with. I think Seppuku as a trait is fine. I'm more just thinking for Voodoo because it's just Voodoo inverts the type chart for itself. One of the traits change the type. Well, we've got new Rend. We've got new Rend. So if you really want to pair Lowaddle with something, you can Rend it. And not that it can use it itself, but it's there. Yeah, no, I'm not going to change either of its traits. They already got reworked once, and I think they're okay as is. Changed Rend. I changed a whole bunch of stuff. Can't go through each individual change because this is what I've been doing the last 2.5 hours. So it's basically just you look at blue screen. I was thinking of some changes for Waspine. I was debating on removing Crystal Deluge, giving it a slight buff to its attack and special attack, and then also giving it the new the new digital move that I created. So you can potentially run Waspine as kind of like bulky offense, and also maybe buffing Wax Bath. But because the biggest thing with Waspine is that you can completely CC chain somebody if they have no sleep or freeze resists. The model's very similar though, and I don't know what you could change. It's just like it's the model's interesting. It's got triple coverage because it has Frond Whip, so you can actually hit its water weakness. But nobody ever runs that. People don't run the thing offensively. You know that his ninja? Yeah, Loado's ninja. When was the last time somebody clicked that? Uh, this one might just have to be one I think on. Or maybe it's just one I wouldn't touch. Just because I don't know what could be done with it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who change the prio on blue screen to the like negative low prio. Strangle prio. I don't like that solution personally. I think the blue screen should have a payoff for having like speed control, like roots. I think it's a good, interesting combo on Lowaddle. It's almost the penance is the problem. Like Lowaddle's a 10 where nowadays you'll run four status moves on it. You'll run roots, blue screen, bush, and penance. Just so that the three of your moves are completely dedicated to crippling your opponent, and then one of them is used once you have space to buff your ally. I almost wonder if we remove Crystal Deluge from Waspine and maybe remove slowdown from Pocus or change how slowdown works, if it would be fine. Because the biggest thing is the turn one. Because like you can lead a Digi or an Electric into Lowaddle, but if you don't have Prio and you get root slowed and the ally of Lowaddle controls you in some way, like a max speed Pocus slowdown, that's where the problems start happening. Nerf Waspine. It just removed Crystal Deluge, and I'd replace it with like a digital aquatic whirlwind, and then also buff its special attack and attack. But yeah, sorry, Millie. It's just Crystal Deluge is a bit problematic on Waspine. It's just an idea. I'll go through everything at the end. You want to give it more stall tools, not damage. What stall tools would you give it though? Do you have any ideas, insight from a Waspine main? Because I was looking, and most things would just push it over the edge. I mean, we could also give Waspine new Refreshing Breeze. That wouldn't be bad, but we're not there yet. Wouldn't be a bad idea though, because then you have a way to buff special defense for your ally. They finally fixed Swarmade. They did, but it's still kind of garbage. Like, what's Swarmade at right now? Oops, nope, Swarmade. Lose 15%, restore 10% if it's above HP, or 50% with Prio. I guess, yeah, so I guess it is a buff, that's right. So it is significantly better. It's significantly better. Plasma Beam, something, blue screen, Swarmade. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I imagine the current set is. It's just, it doesn't, you can't give Waspine Court Shield. That would be way too much. A reset's an option to consider. Refreshing Breeze could fill that spot as a way to buff your ally. But you'd need a nature synergy. Mirror Shell, I think that might still be a bit overkill. Not a bad thought though. Because the problem is a Waspine does still has Shy Shield, so all you do is you'd mirror Shell and spam Shy Shield while healing with Royal Jelly, and you'd never be able to kill it. Diamond 4 would be cool. Once again, way too strong. If Waspine gets buffs on it, it's too much. But Deluge has just been one of the best stall teams, so you need to give something different if you take from it. The problem is that it's not even being used on stall. If it was being used as a stall tool, I'd be fine with it. The problem is it's being used on control teams. I guess in its own way, it's a type of stall, but it's it's very binary. You either have something to counter it or you don't. And your free turns, when you're like alerted and somehow not frozen from blue screen, you just don't have enough room or damage to outpace Black Spath healing. Could nerf Deluge. Something like 2-hold. Maybe that, but that hurts Mudrid and even Zenareth so badly, and neither of them need it. It's not a bad thought though. I'll have to put some more thought into it. I can't even get past Lowaddle here. Still stuck on it. Mudrid hurts anyways. It's kind of like an Earth Nuker, but not having your Crystal Nuke until turn 3 sucks. Like, using Crystal Dust as your only crystal option until turn 3 is tough for a glass cannon. It's really tough. Yeah, sorry, I just gotta skip Lowaddle for now. I don't know. I'll just put some question marks. I have no idea. Magmuts. We'll just slap Crema in the face with this one. There's no reason for it to have lost Rage. Not a lot of people do click Rage. Should Deluge be a damage plus CC option with Prio on turn 2? I don't know, probably not. Like, if Deluge was a move just on Zenareth and Mudrid, I think that would be okay. Because Mudrid could use a move like that, and it's viable. And Zenareth is like a mono crystal that doesn't get a whole lot of use anyways. It's probably too strong on Tortonite. Rage should be given to Mosu to help LC. I can agree to that. It's just, since it doesn't have, I guess I added the head charge Grumble would be fair. But like I'm just for this purpose, I'm just gonna add it to Magmut. But you're right, it would be fun on LC. Zeno has such insane stats. I'd probably hit Zeno with a stat nerf. Cause yeah, it's nuts. It's not okay. Like what's it even at now? 496. Thing's almost got 500 base stat total. Nerf Deluge too much, you get stuck with 3 crystal dusts with extra steps. Yeah. Paul Marita, hello, welcome. I don't think Magma needs a whole lot of changes. It's got options on both its physical and special side. We got the head charge buff, so it can actually buff its defense on tempo if it wants, instead of Oshidashi, and have a slightly more viable. So I would say that's kind of a buff. I wouldn't change anything else about it. Yeah. Because, I mean, Magma's traits, if it gets set up, it can just destroy. Just some changes for some Tems won't solve general balancing issues. We've been saying that for years and no one cares. I mean, in this competition, you can have much like sweeping overhaul of game systems. What, like, is there something specific you'd do? Change the prio system? Change the hold system? Like, remove turn one hold options? My big thing is just remove a lot of the bulk that they've just thrown into the game. There's no reason that Hyper Aggro Tem should be able to take 3 hits before dying. Thought Magma always had rage. It had rage, and then they removed it for no reason. Because it has show off, and they're too similar. When they were removing duplicate moves, they took off rage, and a lot of people were not happy with that. I see no reason not to run it to add it back. That's why I'm throwing it in here. It's just why not? Moala. Hypnotist sleep turns down from 2 to 1. You've written them. They told me at least they read it, not that they'll use it. Oh, yeah. I remember that post. I mean, there weren't any big sweeping changes. There was a lot of. It's kind of just a lot of larger individual changes, wasn't it? And I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm more or less trying to look at Toxics as a whole and nerf them. Hazorat's kind of like the one that I probably have a little bit too strong right now. So I'll have to look at that a bit deeper. Side of the physical side of Magma is the don't get to boost defense, special defense as fast without sacrificing a stab move. Yeah. Also, like, if you're running Rage Magma, you need the Shuin with you. If you don't have the Shuin, it doesn't work nearly as well. You know, I had an idea for what you could give turn 1 Moala, and then I forgot what it was. It was something to help Haka, I think. It was another support option. Maybe it was just the Novice Punch change. Better only show off charcoal wall. Physical status doesn't do anything fast enough. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really want to change much on Moala besides this. The Hypnotist turn should be plenty. You have a boomerang like the high above intended. I definitely could. I think that was it, actually. Because you're not really going to run boomerang on Hypnotist, but it would be fun on Haka. On Haka, you're probably not running Zenmed or even like Paralyzing Poison, just because you don't have that extra free turn with Hypnotist. You don't think it does much? I think that's good. I think it's good if it doesn't do too much. It's just it fits, and it technically gives Moala another offensive option, as well as a decent turn one. If you have Boomerang on Moala, all of a sudden you can opt just to have Techo instead of Telekinetic, because you won't need this for turn one damage. So you could have a set like Boomerang, Transient, Nito, and maybe Haito. So you always have mental, melee, and wind available. I think that would be a really fun set. While also not being overbearing. I mean, it doesn't do much for Hypnotist, that's for sure. It would mainly be a buff to like a Haka Moala that's more or less a bruiser, but just gives the boost. Alright, Mastion. Mastion's going to be one of the Tems that receives this new move I made up, Burnout. Just a brief overview. 130 BP, 0 hold, some amount of stam. I just have 23 for now. Normal prio. Lowers attack by 1 stage on use. So it's like a turn 1 nuke that falls off. So you can have... It's basically... You have a good fire move on Mastion without having to have synergy for Lava Wave. With Pyro, even after the damage fall off, it's still pretty darn strong. It should be stronger than Lava Wave, at least twice. And you have Rage to rebuff your attack if you need to. And then Mastion is also going to be whatever Aquastone buff we come up with. Pokemon already has a move called out that. I thought they did. It was just it's the names I will change. They're just ideas. Like I don't think this is gonna be called like Viral Invasion. It's just an idea. It's just for labeling purposes. Non-stop options usually don't get picked, sadly, because losing the 50% bonus hits too hard. Right, I know, and that's completely fair. Like, he got Telekinetic Shrapnel and nobody's really touched it because it just ain't worth it. It'll be the same thing with Boomerang here. But it's just to give Moala a little something after you nerf it so many times in a row. Yeah, I'll figure out the names later. Might even do that off stream. Aquastone buff. I think Solidifier Mastion's in just a fine spot. It's got good Solidifier options. I'm not even sure why people don't play it all that much. I really don't know. And next to Schween sounds terrifying. It does kind of sound terrifying. At least it doesn't have Prio. Don't give it to something with Determined. I'm giving it to Raikin, Auhi, Mastion. I think that was it. I think it was just those 3. Let's see. Just click on a fire. Let me look at all the fire Tems. I think it was just those 3. I think I debated on giving it to Volcrane as well, but that might be too strong with Hook. I think I might do it though. Okay. And so I'll figure out exactly what I want to do with an Aquastone buff later. I'm gonna have to look at both Ice Stalactite and Aquastone. and figure out from there because they're both basically the same move and they're both trash. So moments probably doesn't need anything. I don't think I'm gonna change moments. If I did anything, I would lower its defense by like just a couple points. It's got some nice support options. It's got some nice offensive options. It'd be tempting to remove microwaves and replace it with the viral invasion option, just so that it takes a little bit of pressure away from the weird offensive moments. But I don't think I need to do that. I think we'll leave it as is. Yeah, people think about Schween's Guardian only prevents negative stat changes inflicted by the opponent, frees up the Schween and enrage users to get certain buffs. Essentially just removes rage. It's not a bad idea. I can't imagine the coding nightmare that would be for Crema though. Can't see them ever doing that, unfortunately. Mimit. I kind of like the spot Mimit's in. I do. I kind of like it. If anything, I'm stealing Hazarov. If you're still in here, I would steal your idea. At least I believe it was yours. But where Mimit would gain a new move called RNA extraction, which is the exact same thing as DNA, except instead of giving +1 speed, it would give +1 defense and special defense. I like that idea, but I'm not using it because it's going to take up one of my move slots, and I'm just not having that. I did like that idea. You'd probably have to remove or lower the damage reduction a little bit more, or just not have it. No, yeah, you would remove the damage reduction entirely, is what it would be, on striking Mimit. You'd remove the damage reduction, and then you'd have that as an option. So I thought it was cool. Anyways. That's a change definitely to think about, though. Having more than one move. Hostile Chim forever target with RNA. Well, I mean, it would be striking Mimit. And it applies to the user. It applies to the user. So that wouldn't really work. Minotaur, the biggest problem with Minotaur, Minotaur I think is actually still used relatively often. Its problem is that Ruminant is still one of the worst traits in the game. I've mentioned this before, but I think this isn't going to count as a rework. I think it should heal, like... give it both 10% health and 10% stam instead of 20% stam. So if you have it next to like an offensive nature type, which it wants to pair with anyways because of Hasty Lunge, then you can still be a pretty pretty aggressive combo, and you can actually build Minotaur bulkier and still get value. And maybe it could be like 12%. Go 12%. I like that. That's not 22%. There. Oh no. No, already. Okay, yeah, 12% health and stam. If a move like Rage only ever sees usage with one very specific Tem, is it really a good idea to limit every Tem using Rage to that interaction? The reason Rage isn't used is because heat up renewal. I think that I think we just need to look at a vitamin complex as a gear. Because right now it's set at like after 3 turns it wipes all negative status or negative stat nerfs, buffs, whatever. But if you change that down to like 2 turns, I think that would be better. It could definitely see use, I think. Still a bit tough, but if somebody leads with special attackers and you have rage and they swap to physical attackers, your defense drops will be wiped by the time they get their physical attackers in. And I think that would be better. It still takes up a gear slot and stuff. So I'll probably change that eventually as well. But I think this is the only change I need to make on Minotaur. I think its rusher set's pretty much fine. It gets use. It's not overbearing. And I think if you change Ruminant like this, which Rage user is limited by having Rage in their kit? Tataru. Tataru has so many moves it could want to run. So it often doesn't run it because it has so many other moves. Give Crystal Spikes to Towley or Venx via breeding. You want to make Sea Spikes Gallus have a reason to exist. That's definitely an interesting combo that I don't agree with. Mulgu. Execution. Anyone know why they removed Execution from Mulgu? I actually wanted to run Execution Mulgu on a team a few months ago, and it just wasn't there. I was sad. So we're just going to add that back. Other than that, I think Mulgu's in a good spot. Has 2 good usable traits. And then maybe make Splitter. And so it's in the tooltip for Splitter. It says it's supposed to remove all status effects. Protects the holder from being inflicted with them. However, prevents from getting a negative status condition. However, if it's like Mom's Lunch or Try Apothecary or something, they'll still get it. So if it's from a trait or a gear, you can still be inflicted with negative status effects. So just remove that. There's no reason for it. That's just a bug that Karma didn't want to fix. Psypad, Chim, Magma, Mastion, all can be used outside range in these. Oh, this was that the question? I guess I just missed it. Oh, I missed the follow, Palmerita, but thank you. I appreciate it. Because it's one of the few combos we don't have. It's literally a mall. It would be fun. It would be cute. I don't like it. Oh, the other thing I was gonna, and then Generify. I don't think Mulgu would run Generify very often, if at all. But Mulgu's most common item right now is Reactive Vial. So if it has the option to instead use Generify to gain that Nullify and be able to open up its item slot, I think that's fine. I think at least having the option there's good. There's no reason not to. And then that's probably... Yeah, that's probably all I need to do for Mulgu. I think it's in a good spot. Those are just some minor options that I think it's good to have. Mulgu pretty much always slots Faraday Cage, Turbo Attack, and Cyber Claw. Last move is pretty much flex. And it's got some flex options already, but I don't mind it having more. Maybe you could even run sets without Turbo Attack or even without Cyber Claw. Just so you can have another support option. I mean, like, execution, generify. Not exactly support options, but you know. Alright, Momo. Momo. I didn't think about Momo at all. I scrolled down the list, but I must have stopped around here. Because I was just, it was late last night. I was just kind of hunting for Mintles, kind of doing some initial thoughts on this. I mean, I'm kind of in favor of just giving the thing Sanative Rain back. And maybe reverting Sanative. I guess there's Snowstorm too. Snowstorm's kind of goofy. Maybe you give Momo away to freeze. Curiosity, what moves inflict the cold condition? No, not the freeze, the cold. Yeah, see, that's the problem. Every single one of them is a water move, except Cold Breeze. Gets head charge, which I buffed. It would need a new move that can apply cold. Yeah, that's what I'm noticing here. Kind of tempted to lower its HP a little bit. Alright, I think that's all I'm doing to Momo. Way freezes right now. Snowstorm could easily proc on every swap in and it would probably be fine. You know, you're right. That would be a good simple solution for the time being. But I think I'm still gonna pass. It's a good idea. I don't think that I'm gonna do it though. Freeze users can get super creative. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, the problem would be like, let's say you have it next to an Ice Shuriken like Psypat, and your opponent only has one direct counter to Psypat at the time. You freeze something with Snowstorm Ice Shuriken, you swap Momo back in, or out, and then you can swap it back in and do the same thing, and you can infinitely freeze. Not that that's great. No, that's not great at all. That sucks. Yeah, whatever. It's a good idea, but I'm just not gonna bother with it. Snowstorm's just kind of a mess. I just think Momo needs a move to apply freeze, no matter how bad it is. Right. The big change, microwaves, has been removed. So this makes it so Munko's best turn 1 option is Plasma Beam, and also makes it so its priority is on a hold. Which I think is really important, because Munko just counters so many teams with little to no counterplay. I also want to drop its HP. I hate Munko so much. It should not have that much HP. Remind you what it does. It's this 110 base power special digital move on 1 hold, significant stamina, and it's high prio. It's only 15 BP higher than microwaves, but it also doesn't require synergy. So maybe why do we think you need it? Because I want to remove microwaves from Munko and give it something that's relative counterplay. It also makes Digis more flexible outside of their stupid. I want to remove microwaves, but Monko should still more or less be a glass cannon. And I wanted to keep the identity that Munko has right now, but removing microwaves really makes that tough. So I needed something else to fill the gap. And I figured a move like this would help add counterplay. Maybe the BP was too high. You thought it was a toxic move? Oh, I mean, yeah, like I said, I gotta rename the stupid things. Maybe this should be like 105, 105 BP or something. Turbo attack's 130 now. It just doesn't have prio. This is only 10 BP stronger than Synergy Microwaves, though, which feels a little bad. And it costs significant stamina. I think it's good. I think it keeps Munko viable while also giving it weaknesses. And I think that's exactly what Munko needs. Rather than being a pure type check. Move flank. Ooh, here's a controversial one. Area War now only procs once per game. I think this would have been the best change for Oshiara in the first place, and that's what it's mainly going to be for. Might give Oshiara some sort of compensation, but it did keep both Serbs and Waterblade, so you know. But move flank is also quite strong. I feel like most top players actually use unnoticed, and I'm not sure how I'd hit unnoticed particularly. I don't think that's how you fix move flank. Like I said, it's mainly for Oshiara. It's just gonna hit move flank as well. Unnoticed doesn't work on a swap in, maybe. And that would be nice. Could even just lower move flank's base speed, but that hurts it pretty bad. Its stat spread is so well balanced. Like everything is right at like the 70 mark, except barely stamina, and then its weakness isn't just special defense. Is there a specific breakpoint we can reach with move flank with the speed-wise? I wonder. Is there something nearby? It already gets outsped by Ventil. I think the other thing with move flank being so... I think the only thing with move flank being so strong is that there's no mentals around. So if... I mentioned a gamma burst like change towards the beginning of the stream. And did I actually add it to the move? I don't know if I even mentioned it. Okay, so my idea for Gamma Burst is to actually give it an extra hold, but instead of making it cost 1,000,000 stam, have it actually be really stam effective. Or stam efficient. And then giving it to both Ventil and Auhi. So it makes Barnshi able to have a 3-turn rotation. While of having like a cheap third turn option that still does tons of damage. And use Ventil next patch if it actually gets a good 3 prio mental move. Yeah, I'm very curious what the mental move is going to be. But yeah, so I think move flank will get hit pretty bad by Or so much you can do with an incredibly bad type chart. Loado's the best example of that. I think I didn't want to remove. The options was to either add a new mental move as a nuke, or like add a new 2-hold mental move, or to rework one we already have. And at this point, I'd almost rather change Gamma Burst to this and then add a priority mental move, maybe on 1 hold, like a mental sharp stabs. I think it'd be interesting to get special coverage for it. You're not wrong. It'd be kind of interesting to add like Undermine to it, but the problem is it's just too strong. I'd like to hit it somewhere where Unnoticed would get hit, but not Hurry Ward. And the only thing that would be Double Kick. But if you hit Double Kick, you're also hitting. I guess you're basically just hitting Cernif. Yeah, I mean, I see you're talking about some type chart changes there, Xavier. I'm against that. I don't like type chart changes, so it's not going to be anything I'm going to do. Alpha's fast, and Prio, Beta's middle damage, and then Gamma's big damage. It would be kind of funny that way. And maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll think about it, because if, as of right now, the only 2 moves I've created are Burnout and Viral Invasion, which will be renamed. And so I still have an option to make a move. But what I'm going to do is I want to get through everything here first. The only type chart change I would even consider, which even then I don't personally agree, would make mental so not weak to Digi, because that would be a significant weak to Digi, while also being a significant buff to mental. Hitting 2 types at the same time, both of which need it. But in that case, my entire I don't foresee ever getting that, and I don't think we need it either. So I could hit Double Kick, but then Cernif gets hurt, which sucks. So what would I even do to Double Kick? Change his damage down to like 60. Only seen offense if Cernif use Double Kick. Well, yeah, it would hurt offense. It would be like, it's like Cernif's only coverage option all of a sudden gets hit. That's kind of sad. Give it Goring instead, maybe. I mean, that wouldn't be too bad. We'll just do this though. It's a pretty significant nerf to Double Kick, but I don't like unconditional prio with that high of BP. Like turn 1-0 hold prio. So yeah, we'll leave move flank at that. Even if that's like the biggest nerf that move flank receives, maybe it just wouldn't have run Double Kick and it would just run Goring then. Dunno. Madrid. Okay. Yeah, we'll give it turbo back. No reason for that it lost it. I have no idea why it lost it. It would be nice if it got another special crystal option. I don't know how many of those are available. Let's check it out. Crystal. It's got Delusion Dust. Sea Spikes we can't give it. Look at how badly the crystal type utilizes the hold chart. There's two hold options. One of them's Mineral Hail, the other one's Diamond Fort. All of these are 0. All of these are 1. Like Cube, hello, welcome. Make Corpse Dirt a move. I think the problem with buffing Corpse Dirt is Inky. Inky's the issue. If anything, I'd want to add a 2-hold. You know, maybe that would be the play with a third move option. Maybe you nerf Deluge and then add a 2-hold special crystal option. That wouldn't be bad. I'm going to take note of it at least. The other option I had with Mudrid is actually to take Earthwave, make Earthwave a special attack, and give it normal prio. That would be a buff to Acronox as well. It would be something for Soilsteam Volcranes. Not like Yalis ever uses the move, and Seismunch hardly does as well. I know that there was a couple Seismunch Naga Decidora believers who used it with use that combo, but I think I don't know. That would buff Cowan. Cowan doesn't have Earthwave. They removed it from him, so it would not buff Cowan. Though I don't think I'd be opposed to Cowan getting the move. It was just an idea I had. Initially, it was an idea to buff Drakash, to give Drakash the move instead of just giving it Dust Vortex back when they were trying to figure out how to buff Drakash. But I don't know. Budget's just Iris Cower nowadays. It's a really solid stall tem. It's the change from attack to special attack didn't change a whole lot besides it being able to use Soil Steam, which is more stamina efficient. Seen a few use Petrify as well. Not a whole lot though. If you gave Earthwave synergy like Earthbreaker and became a crystal move. Not a bad thought, because that'd be fun for Gialis as well, but no. Mudred's tough, just because it's the only thing it's held back by is one, its stamina, and two, its defensive type chart. So one of the things you could do to buff Mudred is to increase its stamina, which I don't like doing a whole lot. I guess hold on. Before I even consider that, is there any move we can give it that utilizes Receptive? Because right now it has no way to proc Receptive itself, so it pretty much defaults to Resistant to fight off stuff like Toxics that it likes to pivot into, or the 4x resist, and then Tolkien burns and stuff. Swap to special was a really roundabout stamina buff. Yeah, right? Yeah. What's the prize for the competition? The prize is first place 3 million Pan Suns, up to 5 Steam games or equivalent value, $100 US in a limited time or limited edition Orphill. So this competition is not one that I came up with. It is all Tikls. I am just coming up with my thoughts on stream because it's more fun that way. It's free content for you guys. So Tikls gets full credit for this, and this is the first place prize. Second place is also pretty. It's also really awesome as well. I went through all that stuff in the beginning of the stream. Burrow, nothing good. Bush, Crystallize, like the only thing you could think of. Change Receptive to something else, or give it Burrow. Yeah. Fair thoughts for sure. Burrow I can't really get a lot of value out of, which is sad. I guess the only reason you really run Burrow is the same reason I tried running Diamond Fort. It's basically to avoid stone balls. How good are Earth Tems right now? They're not super common. Since Volphy got nerfed, there was kind of like a lack of Earth Tems around. In the World Tournaments, we saw quite a few Osekais though, or in fact Argon won with an Osekai. And Osekai looked really awesome, so
And that's a Sensei Osakai. Let me see if there's. Other than that, Earth Thames, Roller's kind of bad. Drakash sees use on Digi-aggro teams. Seismuch, Zyzer, tough spots. Karen, stall teams. Grumper, I like, but it's just too inconsistent. Gario, you'll see sometimes. Turok is still super balanced. Volcrane is a bit tough, but Plat made it work. Had some fun combos with it. Acronox. Acronox is solid, but it's just, once again, too well balanced that it almost doesn't have any strengths or weaknesses. Or it doesn't have any strengths, so it gets beat. And then Gallios is like top tier. Wolfie fell quite a bit. Might not change Burrow Prio. It's a pretty strong move. I could look at it. I look at doing that. How many times get Burrow? Yeah, that would be a bit tough. Giving Amphitheater a third evasion move, giving Chimerian an evasion move, Drakash an evasion move. I mean, Drakash could use it. Scaravolt wouldn't hate it. Stare, yeah, that's a good one. I don't think it changes much, but it's definitely an option. Yeah, so it was. So basically, for Mudrid, I would need to change Burrow Prio. I'll keep it in mind. I think other than we're just gonna keep the turbo change, and that's all we're gonna do for now. Changing Burrow Prio sounds scary. You would need to take it off stuff. What I'd do is I'd at least change it to like 2. I'd probably change it to, I don't know, because then it's just stepping on Bamboozle's toes. I would absolutely take it off stuff. I would probably remove it from Amphitheater, Mooflank, probably Cowrin. Or no, I would remove it from Chimerian. Chimerian Amphitheater 100%. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know. I'll look into it later though, because I don't know. I don't particularly like the idea, but at the same time, I don't know how else to buff Mudrid. Washuk's tough. Top tier Tem right now. Once again, buffing mentals will help. I don't even know how else to hit Mushuk. My initial idea was to take off Turbo from it, but what does it have left? Oh, right, yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I'm just not even gonna try typing that in again. There we go. So, Novice Punch I mentioned earlier, but I'm basically changing it to the old Slingshot. With Synergy, you get +1 speed. Very simple. I think it's a decent option for Mushuk to still raise its speed and be relevant without being crazy. Give Mudrid one of the mythical raid traits, like Confident. Confident. This one was my trait page. Using an effective or super effective technique, get plus. Ooh, that's actually really interesting for sure. Because that keeps the glass cannon idea. I'll leave question marks on it. We'll go back and look at that one at another time. I want to keep getting through this, otherwise I'll... Oh my goodness. Just tell me how many words there are left. I don't even know how many times we're through. I don't know where it'd be in this. Yeah. This might actually just be a good place to stop. I've been streaming for 3+ hours already, and I'm getting kind of hungry and got some other stuff to do today. This would be a 2-part stream. Yeah, because there's so many left. Let me just review some of the stuff quick. I think what we have so far is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with all the stuff we've come up with. OB, remove harmful. Odoro, revert toxic skin. Denigrate. Stam increase and then buff Psy collab. I'll just scroll through it quick and you guys can like look at on the VOD or whatever. Because it would take a while to go through everything again. Cycrox changes. There's so many of these things I just love to see. The Drakash trait, I'm actually reconsidering that one. There's just a few other traits I'd like to look at instead, and this one's not really cutting it. Now that Heat Discharge is seeing some amount of use, I think it's okay. We'll see what I have available at the end. Because Resilience still needs a rework, and that was just something I glossed over with Kapire, but it definitely needs to be looked at. Tataru as well. Like, soft touch is fine. I like soft touch, but resilience is just nothing. I'll reword all this stuff too. I'll make it sound professional. Can definitely see this would take a while though. So I kind of feel for Suki now whenever she makes patch notes. Good progress. Yeah, the Waddle, I'm gonna have to sleep on that one. I'm gonna find some of these ones that we've already done off stream, and I might write up some of the flavor text. I'm not sure yet. And just like add changes that we've already made onto the additional Tems on the list. Like I'll throw Oshiara, Hurry Words. And just stuff so that I'll have a little bit of a head start next time and I won't have to go through that all again. Because I'll probably have a little bit of extra time between today and tomorrow to work on this that I won't be streaming. Because tomorrow I am planning on streaming Dragon Quest again. I came up with a new team that's pretty fun. And I wanted to work on that a bit. Also, apparently there's like no PvP content on YouTube for Dragon Quest. So my one pitiful video ended up with over 400 views already. So I'd like to provide content for that game as well, if I can. So I'll probably be back. I might not even be Wednesday. Wednesday I've got plans. I'll be back sometime this week to do this. There's no rush for it. So hopefully you guys kind of like this stream. I know it wasn't PvP, but it's still like PvP thoughts and information and stuff. And I really love theory crafting, even if it's like stuff that doesn't exist. I think it's just so cool to do something like this. And it's something I'd like to ask at another time is, would you guys be interested in seeing me play Pokemon Unite? So anyone watching like the YouTube video, maybe respond to that. Because I have been recently getting back into that, and I know that they're going to be adding ranked, like draft mode into the ranked mode at the end of February, which is going to be awesome. And pretty much solves the last issue I had with the game. So that's something I really enjoy, and if you guys want to see it, I'll gladly stream it for you. If not, I won't bother. So, it'll just be an option. But yeah, that's going to be all for this stream. We'll get back to this another time. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.